Hey, welcome back to Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. I am Dylan.
And I'm Vinny. And now that the case for the federal forbearance loans and federal forgiveness of student loans is in the Supreme Court hands and we're waiting decision, we have to talk about some plans to pay it off once it's over with. That's the real question for today's video.
Two Super Guys Trade Stocks.
All
Should
right.
should probably be said. I don't know what this is about. I have no idea what this is. You would think that we do more prep work. I don't know. I have no idea what this is.
No, this is me getting Dylan's honest opinion about an idea I had, like live recording, basically. That's the whole premise behind this.
What could go
So,
wrong?
student loans been growing massively over years, right? It's a big problem. A lot of people have student loans now. It's hard to get a good quality education without student loans. I have student loans still remaining. I've been very fortunate that this entire forbearance period, I've been still putting some money aside so that I start making some chunky payments once this thing finally starts accruing interest again. But I was thinking about alternatives and how I can make that process that much faster in terms of paying off the student loan debt. Student loans, pretty big here. Is second largest household debt behind mortgages, right? Even more than auto loans. And this is as of, I think, January 2022, something like that, or 2023, sorry. Much more recent than that. So, it's a problem a lot of people face out there. And, some of the headlines we're talking about here is the Supreme Court has actually already had in-person oral arguments on this, and they're going to be deciding the fate of student loan forgiveness, right? So, you got to kind of start putting your ducks in a row a little bit, so that way, once this forbearance period is over with, you can have a plan in place and start attacking this thing or doing whatever you need to do to be in your best long-term financial interest, right?
Okay. All
All
right.
right. So, when are we expecting a decision? Typically, the kind of major legislation, the Supreme Court will actually put out their ultimate decision in June. All right. And the way that the most recent or last kind of forbearance period by President Biden was put in place to 60 days after like the decision arrives, or 60 days after June 30th. All right. So we still have a few more months to kind of figure this stuff out. But I had a thought that I was something that I might want to do at the time when this comes into play in order to help expedite my loan repayment. Right. So, what do you know about 401k loans? Have you ever heard of one, taken one?
I have not taken one.
All right. Overall positive, negative opinion, any of that sort of stuff? That's what I'm just kind of curious about.
Yeah, so I mean, the interest rate's really important. It depends on the interest rate of the student loans.
Yeah, exactly. So, a lot of people, when you talk about risk adjusted kind of return on investment, if you have debt that's below, like, say, 4 or 5%, it's not really worth going after aggressively, right?
Yeah.
You'd be better off taking that additional money you'd be putting towards the loan repayment and investing it. Right? Kind of contrary to Dave Ramsey opinion, who says get rid of all debt as fast as possible. In reality, when you look at the numbers, it's like around 4 or 5%. There is an actual value you can put on it, where you're better off investing that money. Right? The interesting thing with 401k loans is that you pay the interest to yourself. You know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, you're not paying the interest to the actual, company that manages this. You pay a fee for taking this, and they get a management fee. But ultimately, that interest that you're paying on that loan is going back into your own account. It's a little complicated from a tax perspective because you're paying back the loan with post-tax dollars, and then that money goes into the 401k, right? And then eventually that money grows, you take it out in retirement, and you have to pay taxes on it again. So from a tax purpose, it's not exactly the most efficient thing in the world. But an example I was kind of thinking about here is if I take a $30,000 401k loan, the interest rate right now is like 7.5%, which is roughly equivalent to what my highest interest rate will be. Grad plus, when you get a master's degree, you have to take out those higher interest rate loans, which kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
mine was 9.
Um, yeah. Oh wow, that's rough. I think my highest one was 7.6, but I have more than enough cash to pay that one off as soon as they start accumulating interest, or right before then. So if I take a $30,000 loan, right, in just 1 year time period, that would be a $2,000 savings in interest compared to the $125 loan fee that I would have. And that $2,000 I'd be paying in interest is going into my own account. That's why I consider it a savings. I'm still paying the $2,000 in interest on a $30,000 loan, but that's going all into my own retirement account rather than going into the federal, government's coffers.
It's only a $125 fee.
Yeah, it's a $125 fee. It depends on kind of your individual 401k company. I was actually thinking about looking at my wife's one too, because mine is actually the 125, but hers I think is $50 per loan and then $25 annual oversight fee. So like it all, it could be even cheaper than that, where you're ultimately achieving over $2,000 in savings that are going into your own account. You're still keeping, right? It's in your 401k though, as opposed to that $2,000 going to the federal government and saying goodbye.
I think this is a cool idea. I'm not gonna lie, I did not know the ins and outs of this. I would have to look at it more. It should be stated I'm super against the getting rid of student loans. We already did a video on that. We both have student loans. We both signed our name. I don't understand how getting rid of $10,000 helps anything. It just gets rid of accountability. It's like your whole boat sinking. You put like a Band-Aid on it. You're like, maybe. No, that might help.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good
So
work.
I kind of hope that does not get passed. Granted, we also talked about how these loans are predatory, and more importantly, how the interest is crap, right? Because if
Yeah.
there was no interest on these loans, essentially they would still be getting more tax money because you got an advanced degree, which you'd make more money and then pay more money into the system, so it works out. So you, by doing this, getting rid of the interest, I think this is cool.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. One point about the interest that I thought was kind of interesting too is you look at how much like flatter this chart starts getting here after you're not experiencing negative amortization, where the interest is accumulating and then getting capitalized onto the loan and then accumulating more interest. It's kind of, I thought, a little interesting. You can actually see the change in shape of the chart there as that happens.
Yeah. I'm definitely against this getting passed. I'm also against the interest. The interest does
Yeah.
not make any sense. I think it's definitely a pretty solid idea. Unfortunately, the amount of people, the two things have to happen. One, you have to have a decent sized 401k.
True.
And two, you have to have the financial education or knowledge to attempt it. So you're now down to 0.1% of people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not for everyone. It's just an interesting tactic I thought of that I could help use to kind of expedite my loan payback, because I haven't had a fire under me during this time period because it's not accumulating any interest. Like I said, I've been trying to put some money aside so that I have some to put towards it. But once that clock starts and you start seeing that interest accumulating,
Yeah,
like
it's
that
depressing.
right there, to me is like it's painful.
It's
So
just burning money. It's just
it
like
is.
it's just burning money.
If I'm gonna have to pay interest, I'd much rather pay interest to myself.
Yeah,
That was my thought process here.
I think this is a cool idea. I like it.
Yeah,
I did not honestly know a lot about it. I put my loans into my house, so I already can't do it, but it's pretty cool. Not
yeah.
bad.
Well, yeah. Let us know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts about this.
Thanks, guys.